Okay, welcome back to Call Your DFS The Process. This video is for a DFS PGA 8/17/2017. Right here on my screen, I have my picks so far. And before I dive into it, I would like to say it's a pretty weak field. Everybody knows it. I wouldn't put too much money into GPPs, maybe into double ups, single entries maybe, but it's really hard to find good value in the field that we have. And then the pricing for the top tier guys is just, it's kind of like, do you really want to pay up for those guys, or should you fade them? But getting into it, I apologize early if because I have quite a few picks, as you can see. And I apologize early if this video runs a little long, because I'm going to be flipping back and forth through my notes. But to jump right into it, let's start with Owen. Let me find him in my notes. I'm pretty sure he's probably in the very back. I don't know. Okay, here he goes. All right, so Owen, I have him on my pick list simply because he meets my my four stats that I'm looking for, and that's off the tee, tee to green, approach, accuracy, greens and regulate, or I'm sorry, not 4 or 5, greens and regulation. Although greens and regulation is kind of like a little, don't really care too much for it, being that the course is, I don't want to say it's not difficult. It is a little difficult, but the fairways are wide. The greens are easy to hit. So when it comes to accuracy and greens and regulation, it's not the most important stat that I'm looking for. However, off the tee, tee to green, and approach are, of course, par 4 scoring, par 4 birdie, and putting. Now, I'm going to touch on putting a little bit further along, simply because putting is not necessarily the most important thing I'm looking for. However, when I go down to that 6K range, or 4K range if you're playing on Fanduel, that's the difference maker when choosing a golfer for me. If they don't meet my key 3, key 5 stats that I'm looking for, or if they meet like 1 out of 5, 2 out of 5, and they do well in par 4 scoring, par 4 birdie making, and putting is the thing that offsets everything that makes me want to say, you know what, I'm gonna jump on that guy, if that makes any sense. All right. So back to Owen. I have him on my pick list simply because he meets my a few of my stats. For off the tee, he's a little bit above average. Tee to green, he's a little average, a little bit kind of below it, but not bad. It's very doable. His approach is somewhat okay. It's not great. It's not what I want it to be. However, if you're looking for value, so you can get people like Kisner or Duffner or somebody like that, he would be one person to look or pivot to. Moving on. I mean, nothing really special about him, but moving on. Michael Kim. Now, the reason why I have Michael Kim on here is because out of all the low tier guys, he kind of ranks amongst the highest. And the reason why I say that is because, again, like I said, the stats that I'm looking for are off the tee, tee to green, approach as my top 3. Also, I'm looking for accuracy, greens and regulation, par 4 scoring, par 4 birdie making, and putting. However, when it comes to off the tee, he's not that great. However, I do know the offset to that is the course isn't that difficult. The fairways are okay. They're pretty much easily hittable. The greens are easily approachable. So I kind of give a little leeway to that. And to be honest with you, at 6K, he is I think he's a very interesting value pick. He doesn't particularly rank well when it comes to tee to green or rank well when it comes to approach. However, when it comes to par four birdie making, he sits among the top 15, top 10, I think. When it comes to par four birdie making. I'm sorry, the first one was par four scoring. The second one is par four birdie making. He is above average. Plus, his putter is pretty good. So for him to be a low value or be in the 6K range, I think he's a low value sneaky play. Strictly GPP, to be honest with you. I can't, like I said, the field is weak. You don't know how these guys may do, but he did pop for me, and he made my list. The next guy I'm going to go to is Lucas Glover. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's just say you didn't want to pay up for Kisner or Stinson or whoever. Lucas Glover is honestly, he is a must play. Hands down, he is a must play. Unless he doesn't come with his A game, I see no fault in what he's going to do. And to be honest with you, if I were to go ahead and give a few picks out for who I think is going to win the championship, or not, I'm sorry, the tournament this weekend, I have Kisner, Duffner, Stanley, Keegan, and Lucas Glover. Those five guys can win it, in my opinion. I think Glover is a must play. Again, his off the tee is above average. His tee to green is extremely above average. His approach is good. It's not bad, and his accuracy in greens and regulations are about average or on par to being average. But what sticks out to me the most as far as him is his par four scoring, which is extremely good, extremely well. His par four birdie making is extremely good, extremely well. He's one of the top 3 or 4 in the field with the highest par four scoring. His putter it isn't that good, but it's very doable. I think it's doable considering all the other stats, how they fall in line. But Glover to me is a must play. The next guy on my list is I can't pronounce his name, Byung Hang An. I'm assuming. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to butcher it, but he sticks out. Not for his par four scoring, but more so for his par four birdie making. His putter isn't that great. His accuracy in greens aren't that good. However, I don't see accuracy in greens in regulation being a must sought after stat for this course. But because I like to cover everything, I throw it in my mix when I'm doing my process. But his tee to green is extremely well. His approach is pretty good or above average, and his off the tee is about average. Yeah, about average, a little bit above average. I don't want to say he's a must play, but let's just say you wanted to go a little balanced and you didn't really want to go with the top guys, I would say in that 9K range, 9K, 8K range, he would be somebody I would put in my lineup. Moving on to Trey Mullinex. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not much I really like about him. However, he does rank pretty well when it comes to par four birdie making. His par four scoring is it's not really, it's above average. It's actually like kind of great. It's not really above average. It's more so great. So is his par four birdie making is great. However, he lacks in a few fields or a few stat lines like tee to green, approach. It's less desirable. I mean, like, it's bad. It's really bad. His putter is not that great. It's bad. His off the tee is pretty okay. So basically what I'm saying to you is, if you're going to go low and want to pick somebody that, with a familiar name, Trey Mullinex would be the way to go. He has the upside to do well. However, that upside can come with a downside. It's more like, he can go out and hit like 15, 20 birdies, but he also can go out and hit like 10 bogeys and 3 double bogeys or something like that. So play him at your own risk. I think he's an interesting play, but it's all about roster construction. Moving on, Chaz Reavy. To be honest with you, man, this guy, he's, like I said, he's like a undervalued Kuchar. I mean, he has a balanced game. However, sometimes his game is just a little up and down. Sometimes it pans out, sometimes it don't. But in this field, I think he's gonna come in the top 20. I think he's gonna do pretty well. His off the tee isn't as great, or his off the tee isn't what I would like it to be, but I believe it's kind of okay. His tee to green is it's about average, a little bit below average. He's like right there at the borderline. His approach is it's a little bit average. I can give him that. But what sticks out to me is his accuracy. His accuracy is like great. He's like in the top 5, top 10 for accuracy. For his greens in regulation, he's in probably like the top 10, top 20. No, I'm sorry, probably like top 15 for greens in regulation. That sticks out to me for Chaz Reavy. Now, what else sticks out is his par 4 making. His par 4 ability, scoring ability is, I would say, in the top 20. I'll say no. I'll even say top 15. I mean, he's pretty good with the par 4 scoring. This like I said, this course isn't gonna be that difficult. I think he will make it in the top 20 when it all comes to a conclusion on Sunday. His par 4 birdie ability, it doesn't scare me. However, he's borderline average with it. Not quite average, but he's not popping. He's not popping out to me. He's like maybe a little bit above average with par 4 birdie making. But his putter is decent. So with his putter being decent, it kind of offsets everything. So I wouldn't say he's a must play, but he is a very interesting play when constructing your lineup. I will say that. All right, moving forward, Hadley. I don't know. I got to find this guy. All right, the things that bother me about Hadley, and again, I picked him up on my list simply because of roster construction. The things that bother me is his off the tee. His off the tee is not. It's not even okay. It's like it's not horrible, but it's just not. It's not where I want it to be. It's less desirable. His tee to green is great. I love his tee to green. His approach is okay, his approach is okay. His accuracy is pretty good. His greens in regulation, that's great. I love it. His par 4 scoring is in the top 10 or top 15, I believe. That's great. I love it. But what bothers me the most is his par 4 scoring. His par 4 scoring is less desirable. It's not where I would want it to be. And his putter isn't all that great as well. So I'm assuming he's probably gonna be, I think he's gonna be a little bit, I don't want to say he's gonna be a little bit chalky. I doubt he's gonna be chalky. But I mean, he has a few stats that stands out to me. However, I just don't think he's gonna be, somebody that's, put it like this: if you're going for roster construction, I would pick him up. I would definitely pick him up, and he can make or break your lineup, or make your lineup, one of the two. And you know what? In fact, I think I might be confusing Hadley with Chad Campbell. So everything I said about Hadley, forget that, and just put Chad Campbell in front of that, and that's the stat. That's how I feel about Chad Campbell. So sorry if I confuse you guys, but that's what I feel about Chad Campbell. However, for Hadley, the only thing that popped to me for him is his greens in regulation, his par four scoring ability, and his par four birdie making ability. Other than that, his putter is horrible, and this is Hadley I'm speaking on. His putter is horrible. His approach is less desirable. His tee to green is, I don't even want to say it's okay. It's just not desirable at all. His off the tee is, I guess, okay, but to me, the only thing that really pops for him is his par four scoring ability. And I'm sorry for the confusion. That's Hadley I'm talking about right now. And what I said before was about Campbell. Campbell will be a little chalky simply because he's a familiar name, but I got a little turned around. Sorry, like I said, I'm flipping through my notes. All right, so going down, Stanley. I don't think I need to say much about Stanley. Everybody knows what Stanley's capable of. However, like I said, on paper, he's a shoe-in to win. He just haven't been playing up to par like he should have been. His par four scoring ability is in the top 15, top 10. His par four birdie making ability it's great. I mean, honestly, he's probably in the top 15, top 20 with the par four scoring ability. However, the one thing that worries me about him is his putter. His putter is horrible, and it's like with the Bermuda grass they have down there, man. It's like the only thing that I'm hoping on to offset the putter is the weather, because from my understanding, if it rains, it kind of offsets the golfer's putting ability. However, with the Bermuda grass, it dries up pretty fast, and it kind of allows the golfers to like resume play really quickly. But I don't know. Stanley, he made my list. I have him keyed in to be a victory here, but at the end of the day, man, he's like one of those guys where it's just on paper he should win, but I don't know what's going on with the guy. But anyways, moving on, Duffner. To be honest with you, I know Kisner is going to get a lot of looks simply because of what happened last weekend with the championship, how he bogeyed out of first place. But to be honest with you, man, if I had to compare Kisner with Duffner or make a choice, I wouldn't pay up for Kisner. I would pay down for Duffner, and I'll tell you why. Duffner, on every stat line, as far as off the tee, tee to green, approach, accuracy, and greens and regulation, Duffner is right there with, I'm sorry, except for tee to green. But Duffner is right there with Kisner. As far as tee to green goes, Kisner is blowing Duffner out the water. But Duffner, he has a very good tee to green. So you can't just take away from him. Also, with the approach, Duffner has a better approach than Kisner. He also has a better par 4 scoring ability than Kisner and a better par 4 birdie making ability than Kisner. Now, what kills Duffner is his putter. His putter does not stand up to Kisner's. That's the difference between the two. And if you're worried about the putter and you would like to, for your golfers to be 100% on every stat, go with Kisner. But I don't think I will pay up for Kisner when I can get Duffner at a cheaper price. That's the same motto I have when I'm comparing Matsuyama or Ricky Fowler to Matsuyama. I just don't see why I would need to when I can get the same or similar results from a lesser priced player. All right, so I got Horschel. I'm not going to spend too much time on him. Everything about him is pretty average. Nothing really popped for me. The only reason why I have him on here is because he's okay with the putter. He's pretty good with the par 4 birdie making ability. His greens and regulation are pretty good. His par 4 scoring, it's kind of iffy, but it's doable. Everything about him is doable. He probably is going to come in the top 30, if not top 20. but it's nothing that pops for me. It's just, roster construction, to be honest with you. All right. So now we going down to Rory Sabatini. Same thing with this guy. He's pretty much in the same boat as Horschel. However, his putter is horrible, but his par 4 birdie making ability is pretty good. It stands out. It stands out to me. It pops. But his par 4 scoring ability kind of it offsets that for me. But other than that, he's a pretty doable guy when it comes to roster construction. I don't see him winning this. However, I do see him making the cut. All right. I'm going to skip over Chad Campbell because, like I said earlier in the video, I made that mistake of mixing him up with Hadley. I pretty much explained how I felt about Campbell already, so I'm going to just skip over him. All right, so Lahiri. Let me find Lahiri. I'm pretty sure I have him on my list simply because of roster construction when looking for a cheaper alternative. But Lahiri, where do I have him at in my notes? All right. I don't know where I have him at in my notes. That's weird. Oh, there he is. All right, first page. All right, so sorry about that. Lahiri, honestly, he doesn't really rank well for me. However, he has a few categories where he's okay in for me, like off the tee. But the one thing that pops for me is the fact that he's probably among the top 10 when it comes to par 4 scoring. That par 4 birdie making, I'm sorry. Par 4 scoring, he's a little iffy at, but par 4 birdie making, he ranks amongst the top 10. And that's pretty much the main reason why I have him on my list. Will I use him? I don't know. Depends on how many lineups I put in. I don't think I'm going to be putting in too much money into GPPs. I think I'm going to focus on double ups or something, or head-to-heads. Going forward, JT Paulston. Honestly, I think he will make the cut. That's it. Nothing special. He will make the cut. All right, so Ryan Ruffles, this guy. Now, the reason why he made my list, I don't know why I have this gut feeling that he will do well at this tournament, but for some reason I have a gut feeling that he will. I'm sorry, I don't want to say do well. I'm going to say I have a gut feeling that he will either do well and I need to put him in my lineup or I need to stay away from him. And it's like, I think I'm going to hedge with him and put him on like a few Fanduel lineups or one Fanduel lineup to see how he does. But I don't have much information on him. When it came to, I think, the British, no, not the British Open. I think it was the Canadian Open. I think he did okay. I think he scored like in the top 30, like 32nd place or something like that. But he's a young kid. He's coming up in the ranks. Play him at your own risk. That's all I can say. I'm hedging with him, but play him at your own risk. All right, so tag ratings. Now this guy is interesting. He's a 6K range guy. He doesn't really pop for me when it comes to approach and tee to green. However, when it comes to his off the tee, he's semi okay. His accuracy is horrible. His greens and regulations are okay. His par 4 scoring ability is it's decent. It's good. I'm not gonna knock him. His par 4 birdie making it's very desirable. I can say that. Honestly, I can say that. His putter is okay. So he's, for a 6K range guy, I think he's pretty flexible, or I think he would do well in roster construction when trying to get the big names. I think you can slide him in there and he would you would benefit from him, and ownership. I think ownership on him would be pretty low. So that's equity. I think that's going to be equity. However, take him at your own risk. This is, like I said, he's in the 6K range. He can either boom or bust, but he does pop for me. Not sure if I'm going to play him. I might, depending on how my rosters look over on Fanduel. I haven't made him yet, but he's a very interesting play. Grillo. All right, let's get to him. I think he's not going to be chalky, but I don't think he's going to be – I don't think you're going to find too much equity in him because, like I said, he's a household name. People know – I don't want to say household, but he's a name that people know. So it's like out of this weak fill, I think people are going to flock to the names they know, and Grillo might be one of them. However, he does pop for me when it comes to his off the tee, his tee to green, and his approach. His accuracy in greens and regulations aren't that appealing to me, but at the end of the day, for this course, you don't really need to be as accurate or have great greens and regulation. However, he does have a certain appeal when it comes to par 4 birdie making. His putter isn't all that great for me. It's actually bad, but his par 4 scoring ability puts him kind of above a lot of put him above almost everybody, below the 8K range. So, take that. Another guy, I don't know if I spoke on it. I feel like I spoke on him already. Keegan Bradley. I think I did, but if I didn't, I'm just gonna say it again. Keegan Bradley, I think, is a must play. I don't care who you put in your lineup. I don't care how you construct your lineup. I think Keegan Bradley is a must play. He's probably going to be, if not in the top 5, I think he's going to be the one who wins it. He's a must play. Me personally, everything pops for him. Approach, off the tee, tee to green, accuracy, greens and regulation, par 4 scoring, par 4 birdie making. The only thing that worries me is his putting, but I'm not too worried about him because I think he's going to do great compared to everybody else in the field. I think he's a must play. All right, so going down further, we have Gribble. I think I might have to flip to the back for him. Nope, there he is. Nothing pops for me for him except for the fact that he ranks in the top 10 for par 4 birdie making. Oh, also, his putter is extremely good. Well, I don't want to say extremely good, but it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good compared to the rest of the field. With that being said, though, when it comes to the stats that I'm looking for, like off the tee, tee to green, approach, he is horrible. His accuracy is horrible. His greens and regulation, I don't want to say horrible, but it's not good at all. His par 4 scoring ability it's not that appealing to me. However, when it comes to par 4 birdie making, he is the man. He is like among the top 3, I believe. When it comes to his putter, he's in the top 10 in the top 10 when it comes to this field. So, take that with a grain of salt. He could be a great asset to your roster. But I'm just going to leave it at that. I know I talked about Kisner already with Kisner and Duffner. There's a lot of narratives going around about Kisner, being that he blew it over at the championship last weekend. I don't think he's going to show up and not play. I think he's still going to give a good, honest effort, competitive-wise. But at the end of the day, you just have to take your chance on him. I mean, do you feel like paying up for him? If you feel like paying up for him, get him. If not, don't. There's alternatives. I'm not saying he's a bad play. It's just, it's all about roster construction. And if you're going to pay up for Kisner, who are you going to put there to replace the other 5 or other 7 golfers you got to, put in your lineup? So that's all I have for him. And moving down, let's see, can I find this guy? I don't even know how to pronounce his name right. I think it's Kokrak. Kokrak. Sounds like crack. But anyways, he pops. He pops for me in a few categories. Mainly off the tee, tee to green, and approach. He's okay. I'm not gonna say he's like great, but in those three stats that I'm looking for, he's okay. Especially for his price in this field, he's okay. Plus his greens and regulations are okay. His par four birdie making is okay. His par four scoring ability is a little bit iffy, but other than that, he's okay. He's an okay fit. Now his putter, however, is horrible, and that's what that worries me, simply because of the Bermuda grass, simply because of when you go down to the lower tier guys, you got a bunch of lower tier guys with better putters. They might not hit my stat lines, but their putters are like extremely good when you go to that 6K range. So he's a roster. He's somebody you can throw on your roster if you feel like. I feel as though he'll make the cut. Will he win? No, I don't think he'll win, but I think he'll make the cut. All right, moving on down to Sebastian Muniz, or whatever his name is. As soon as I can find him. I have like 4 pages of notes. I told you guys I was really gonna dive into this, and I never won a GPP, came in first place. I always came like close, or either in the top 100s or whatever, but I never really won first place. So I'm really devoting my time to actually take down first place. So Sebastian Muniz. Only thing pops for me from him is the fact that he has a good putter, and that the field is pretty, I don't want to say easy, but it's not that difficult. And the fact that he ranks high in the, like, I think top 10 when it comes to his par 4 scoring ability. Other than that, nothing here is desirable for him. I do think he has the ability to come in the top 10. But, I mean, that's just if everything works out in his favor, the weather doesn't get to him, and he don't get blown out by the competition. There's other guys that are better, but, I mean, you got to give him credit for his par 4 scoring ability. But, yeah, so that's my list. Show you guys again, going back up. Honestly, when I started this, I didn't think I'll have these many guys, or this many guys in my pick list today. But obviously, I found value in a lot of low tier guys. But it's all about roster construction. It's all about trying to put the right pieces to the puzzle together. Also, don't listen to these guys about saying that, hey, everybody at the lower level are trash. No. That's not true at all. You got some good guys at the lower levels and at the lower tiers, and you see it for yourself on here. I mean, do a little research on them, and you'll find some good winners. You don't necessarily have to stick to the 10K, 9K, 8K range. You can go down further than that, But other than that, that's all I have. This is my pick list for you guys. Scroll back down and show you guys so you guys can see it. Yeah. And that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys do well in your PGA tournaments this weekend. I know I probably will, hopefully. I got to stay confident. But if you like what I did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.